Hello and welcome to another video from oorail. In this video we're going to show you how to take some old Hornby or Triang Hornby tanker wagons and update them so that they can be used on a modern model railway layout. So here you can see we actually have two different styles of tanker wagon. We got this Hornby, Triang Hornby BP tanker here. You can see this is the end result with the weathering powders, and then this is the more plastically looking original one. And then we also have this Hornby Esso tanker, and you can see here it has this kind of plastic piece that goes around with I think some sort of piping, and this typically breaks off on a lot of models. So I got the 4 tanker wagons here for like about $4 off of eBay. So you can see that's the end result of the BP tanker, and then that's the end result of the Esso tanker. So they just look a little bit more realistic rather than looking like they're plastic. So to achieve this result, it's actually quite simple. I'll do a comparison there with these side by side. If I move, there's the original Esso one here, and then this one was one of the tankers that actually had the piping broken off, so I just cut that off and weathered it with the weathering powders. And I can turn it around this way so you can see as well. Now these are a little heavier weathered than I was planning to do, but I haven't actually sprayed these with the varnish yet, so once I spray them with the varnish they'll look a little less weathered than that, so they'll actually look pretty okay. So to this you'll need 3 paintbrushes. So I've got here my 3 trusty weathering paintbrushes, and I use 3 different tones. This is a medium earth tone. Looks a bit like kind of a brownish kind of rust color, but it's a little bit more, comes out a little bit more like dirt. This is weathering powder that's grimy black, so it turns out pretty well. And then this is a new one that I've got, which is kind of a medium gray color, and I'm using the AIM weathering powders, but you could easily use the new Umbrella ones or ones from any other brand. And it's quite straightforward actually. So if you look at some pictures of the tanker wagons, the grime typically starts at the top and moves its way down. So you have the runoff here on the sides just from regular dirt. And of course, since these are carrying oil or petrol, these petroleum products would often spill out from here, so you'd typically have kind of a darker, heavy kind of spillage going down through here. Now you could achieve the same thing with some washes, where you have the paint mixed with the paint thinner. I found with this though that the weathering powder works just as well. In fact, it kind of gives you a slightly better result, especially once you spray it with the varnish. It gets a little bit wet and it runs. So while you could use the washes, I found that the washes will often, especially these older models, take some of the detailing or the paint off. So if I go and run the wash through here, it can start to dissolve the thing and it doesn't look very good. So you also want to use something on the undercarriage as well, but it's pretty straightforward. And then typically on the end here you'll get runoff that goes kind of everywhere except for kind of in the center, and then you'll have just some kind of dirt and rust on the side as well. So we're going to get started on this and show you the end result. So what I typically start with is the medium earth. So you get a good glob of it on the brush like so. I'm going to put the tanker wagon actually upright. Might be a little difficult to do this on the camera, but we'll see. And then you just simply, by holding it in place, just do the kind of brush motion that you'd think the dirt would have come out on, like so. Now if you find that the powders aren't sticking to the locos or to the wagon the way you want, you can use a damp cloth or a baby wipe to help them adhere better. But I found with the earth tones in particular, you get a much more realistic kind of look here if you just paint it on dry. Obviously you'd want to make sure you clean the wagons beforehand, and if you can see here, I have done it from the top down, so you don't want to kind of go back and forth over the top. That's not the way the any kind of spillage or dirt would typically come. If the rain is coming down on top of it this way, it's going to hit the top and then spill over the sides. So you want to apply the weathering powder in the same kind of motion, so you get the same kind of effect on the loco or rolling stock. So you just want to use the brush strokes the same way you think the dirt would actually get on there. Now, while the tankers would have been traveling maybe at slow speed this way or that way, a lot of times they'd be stationary or in a siding, so a lot of that grime would come onto it while it was standing still, which is why this works pretty well. Now, I started at the top here and working my way down, and the reason I did that is if I hold this up to the light, like so, you can see that you can see that it's starting to build up a little bit on the undercarriage, and we'll brush that in, and you'll save some weathering powders, or it'll stop yourself from using too much. So just likewise, we'll spin this around and just apply a little bit more on it. Now remember, when you use the varnish on this to kind of keep the weathering powders locked in, so that when you handle it they don't just kind of fall off, you'll find that the varnish will remove a lot of the powder that you've already applied. So it's a good idea to apply just a little bit more than you want, and that way you'll get the results you want usually the first time around. So this worked out pretty well. You can see there we got a pretty decent level of dust on the bottom. And then you can just, I typically use the residue that came off on the base here to do the sides, so we'll do the same. Try to hold it in place with the weathering powder container there, and you just do the same thing on this end. It's a little trickier with the end here, but you should be able to get it pretty good. Alright, so you get the general gist of it there. So I'm going to go and do the other side, and we'll show you the end result. Okay, so you can see here we've weathered the entire thing with the earth tones, like so. If I tilt it over, you can see a little bit better. So what we're going to do next is basically weather it with the black grime to simulate the oil. And this is relatively straightforward. If I position it there. Basically you're just going to take a ton of the black grime and just apply it here in the center where you would have the these spills. Of course, you would also have some of the spillage that way. And you can just spread it out a bit, because usually it would, if it burst or spilt, it would not just get on one side of it, it would kind of splash around a bit. Then what you want to do is just take in the center here, make it a little bit extra dark, like so, by applying some extra powders to it. Now if you don't quite get the effect you want the first time around, you can always come back in and after you spray it and apply a second coat of the grime here to get the a more pronounced spillage effect. Or you could use after you've done the powders, you could use a wash or some paint or something like that as well that have been watered down. However, I find that this works pretty well, and once it dries, it looks pretty good. So you can see there, it has a kind of a natural kind of spilling look to it. Still has the earth tones in the back, giving a kind of general kind of grime look to it. And if you want to add a little bit more depth to it, you can use the grey as well. However, I don't use the grey because this was already kind of a silver grey tanker. I didn't really use the grey on this one. I used the grey on the Esso one. So that's basically it. So I'm gonna go finish these ones up, and we'll put out another video showing these on the layout in the near future.